Well, let's unpack this. We are diving deep into Daconia in 499 H.K.C., and things are incredibly tense, a real knife's edge situation.
Mm.
And this isn't just, straightforward conflict. It's this really tangled, convoluted mess of plots. We've got this Nomonth conspiracy, which seems quite calculated,
Right, political machinery.
sliding right into the sheer delusion of this Black Swords plot.
Exactly. And to set the stage properly, Daconia is already bracing itself. You've got internal threats, external threats.
So who's in charge at this point?
Well, Regent Taloya Vimoil technically controls the central region from Chresmere. He's got about 6,000 men.
Okay.
But his real power, his leverage, it comes from his hostages, very high-value ones.
That's the former queen, Crelis Duesené.
Yes, and her son, Gorion, who's only 7. He's the heir of the previous king, Raphael.
Right. And Talora's big move here.
Yeah.
It involves the kids, doesn't it?
It does. It's a bold political gambit. He declares Gorion king, the 7-year-old, and then immediately betroths him to Tomais. She's 5, the daughter of Roland Bloodhorn's queen who was slain.
Wow. 5 and 7. So he's trying to glue together these warring factions, the Recurl and Toffen?
That's the idea. Unification through child betrothal. It's a strategy.
Does the source give any sense if this had a prayer of working long-term? Or was it just papering over cracks?
I mean, it felt very much like a short-term fix. Built on hope, maybe, but mostly fear, It kept the internal factions quiet, for the moment at least.
But there's an external threat looming, too.
Oh, yes. A big one, more in the second, Veypered. He's got a claim through Gare III, and he's gathering forces in the east, maybe 8,000 men.
So Tarloy is juggling this incredibly fragile internal peace, and then this one guy, this exiled knight, just wanders back in and potentially ruins everything.
That's him, Dever Blacksword. He's the immediate catalyst for chaos.
And what's his deal? Why exiled?
Dever is just a classic case study in wounded pride spiraling out of control. King Raphael III banished him 7 years earlier.
Why?
Because he absolutely could not stop obsessing over Queen Crelis. The sources are really clear on this. He doesn't see her as a person. She's a symbol to him.
A symbol of what?
Purity, nobility, something he feels he needs to reclaim to kind of justify his own existence, his own sense of importance. It's deeply delusional.
Okay. So he returns around, Aumbris 20th? And things immediately go wrong.
Immediately. And violently. His first job back was supposed to be simple. Meet up with his companion, Tahor, who's a half-troll,
Right.
outside Chresmere, and dig up some gold Dever had stashed away years ago. A forgotten cache.
Should be easy enough.
You'd think. But no, Dever couldn't remember where he buried it. They spent 3 nights digging near Crombois. Nothing. Complete failure.
And this failure leads to something worse.
Much worse. While they're lurking around failing, Tahor overhears some locals talking about a serf named Arlen who'd suddenly come into some money.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Morning of Aumbris 24th, Arlen and his whole family, 6 people, are found dead, bodies stuffed up a chimney.
And the method.
It had all the hallmarks of a troll killing. The savagery.
So Takor did it for the money they thought Arlan had, which might have been Dever's lost gold.
It's heavily implied. And this murder instantly creates political ripples. Tarloy has to send knights out to investigate what looks like a random troll attack. It ties up resources.
And Dever, how does he react?
He uses it. He spins this wild story to cover his incompetence about the gold and explain the killings. He claims some brigand Drunthair, supposedly an agent of Moran II, had stolen the gold.
Okay.
And then he claims that he and Tugor bravely tracked down Drunthair and an actual unrelated troll, killed them both, and heroically reclaimed the gold.
Which he never actually found.
Exactly. It's a complete fabrication to cover tracks and, make himself look good.
So his cover-up works in redirecting the gold search.
With a moment, yes.
But his actual mission, getting to Crelis, that's immediately complicated by his own actions.
Massively. He tries to sneak into Chresmere disguised as a pilgrim. Seems simple enough, but then he actually sees Crelis dispensing alms at the Sage Elier's Basilica, and he just freezes, loses his nerve.
Stage fright after everything.
Apparently.
Yeah?
Which leads to his next, even more absurd plan.
Which is?
He tries to get into the Basilica disguised as a destitute widow.
Seriously? A widow?
Yes. Predictably, the Ventenera guards notice the beard.
Let's sake.
And they throw him out. But they also report this suspicious bearded widow to the city watch.
Oh, brilliant.
So Tarloy hears about this weird incident. And what does he do? He tightens security. Crelis is confined to her quarters, more patrols everywhere. De Vere's obsessive actions have literally given the regent the perfect reason to lock down the queen.
He's actively making his own mission harder.
Completely self-sabotaging. And the sources say he just hits rock bottom after this. Spends 3 days in some cheap inn, drinking mead, feeling sorry for himself, blaming fate.
What about Takor, the half-troll companion?
Takor is just done with him. So fed up with the whining, he actually thinks about killing De Vere right there in the inn.
But doesn't.
No. Decides against it, mainly because it's a touristy pilgrim's inn, it's crowded, and there are already rumors flying about troll attacks. Rumors De Vere himself helped fuel too much heat.
So De Vere's personal mission is a disaster. How is this impacting the bigger picture, the actual conspiracy he was supposed to be part of, the Nomonth one?
Right, the Nomonth conspiracy. This is where you see the more, let's say, professional cynicism at play, because they had a plan too.
And this conspiracy was based where?
Out of Nomonth. It's a fallen region, kind of a dumping ground for the Nemestri. These are like spiritually degenerate outcasts.
Sounds charming.
Oh, yeah. The capital, Avila, is described as just a cesspool, vice, lawlessness everywhere, apparently the perfect breeding ground for conspiracies.
So who are they recruiting there?
Well, De Vere, Takor, and another associate, Kothler, they go there looking for help. They need forged papers, they need people, basically a covert team to rescue Crelis and Gorion.
Who do they connect with?
A guy named Mogget. He's the chieftain of Avila's smugglers, and he connects them to his network.
Which includes?
Well, a forger named Thola and her sons, who are quite the characters. You've got Skristo the Pig Strangler.
Wait, sorry, Skristo the Pig Strangler, is that his actual title?
Apparently so. He's a highwayman working under some rogue named Xerxes Mogan. And then there's the other son, Brolin. He's a smuggler, operates inside Chresmere, and his specialty is trafficking orphans.
Okay, so the rescue mission for the rightful queen and king relies on a network involving a pig strangler and an orphan trafficker.
That's the foundation, yes. It tells you a lot about the desperation, doesn't it?
It certainly suggests this wasn't exactly a well-oiled machine even before De Vere's involvement.
Precisely. And the people around De Vere, the more pragmatic ones, they clearly saw the writing on the wall regarding his reliability.
Like Kothler.
Yes, Kothler was wary. He knew De Vere was incompetent, maybe even treacherous, so he teamed up with the Xerxes Mogan fellow, the disgraced veteran running Skristo.
Right?
And they cooked up a completely separate plan, a parallel plot.
This is the false coup, scheduled for the 30th of Aumbris.
Exactly. It was clever, actually, ruthlessly pragmatic. Forget De Vere's romantic timeline.
That was the goal.
Create chaos. Stage an uprising inside Chresmere that looked like the existing factions, Raphael's loyalists versus Roland Bloodhorn's faction, were fighting each other.
A false flag operation.
Textbook. While everyone's distracted by that, the real extraction team goes in for the Queen and Gorion.
And Kothler had a key role inside.
He played his part perfectly. Infiltrated Chresmere, pretended to be a Rolanid commander, even exposed a fake Moran spy to build trust.
Nice touch.
And it worked. He ended up commanding 80 crossbowmen positioned inside the Castle of Songs. Absolutely critical location.
Okay, so we have Kothler's meticulous plan ticking away, ready for the night of the 30th. And then back comes De Vere, making his own chaotic entrance the night before on the 29th.
Yes, the timing is just awful. Kothler's coup is hours away, and Takor, completely out of patience with the drunken, lamenting De Vere.
What does he do?
He literally wraps De Vere in a bedsheet, lugs him to the Castle of Songs walls, and tries to just throw him over.
There's attempts to.
But somehow, De Vere gets lucky, lands in an apple tree near the wall, uses it to climb down.
Okay, so he's inside. Then what?
Then a medium panicked violence. He sees a lone guard, slits his throat, no idea who it is.
And it turns out.
It was one of Xerxes Mogan's men, someone part of Kothler's operation, someone actually there to help.
Unbelievable. He's killing his own side without even knowing it.
Exactly. Total chaos. He then hides under some linens in an outbuilding, gets accidentally carried into the castle washing house.
Carried in.
Yeah, hidden in the laundry or something. And then, just to maintain his pathetic disguise, he finds a washerwoman there and grounds her in a tub of hot water.
Just for her hood.
Just for her hood. It's staggering. Pointless brutality driven by sheer panic and obsession.
So now he's wandering the castle, disguised as a washerwoman he just murdered.
for the better part of a day, apparently, half mad with hunger, completely lost, until some random servant, thinking he's just another staff member, points him towards Crelys's quarters.
And he finally gets there.
Yes. On the 29th, he slips into the royal chambers and hides under young Gorian's huge oak bed.
Right under the 7-year-old king's bed.
And just before he's discovered, the sources give us this really poignant glimpse into Crelys's and Gorian's reality.
What's that?
She's speaking to Gorian in her native language, Voltaigne,
Oh.
telling him that they're just banners for Tarlor, symbols he uses to hold power.
So she knows their situation exactly.
Oh, absolutely. But she also promises him. Says a man will come, someone from the Red Land, from Voltai, her homeland, someone sent by her brother.
A real rescuer.
Yes, to take them away to Castron, her brother's place, where Gorian can grow up strong and then return one day as the true king. They're waiting for salvation, but they're expecting someone competent.
Not the guy under the bed.
Definitely not the guy under the bed.
And then comes the moment of discovery. Just after midnight, heading into the 30th.
Yes. Gorian, who's apparently a light sleeper, wakes up, sees his mother kneeling by the window. He asks, may I sleep here tonight, mother? Innocent enough.
And
then he just drops the bomb. Completely matter of fact. But mother, there is a man under my bed, clad in women's garb.
Oh, wow. Out of the mouths of babes.
Crelys checks Gorian's bed, finds it empty, then glances toward the window curtains. Sees a fingernail quickly retracting out of sight.
Chilling.
She just commands, reveal thyself.
And she recognizes him immediately.
Instantly. De Vere, 7 years have passed. Be gone! She wants him out.
But De Vere being De Vere.
He doesn't listen. He launches straight into his pitch, claims her brother sent him a lie, warns her Moran is about to attack the city, helped by the king of Westlior, probably another lie, or at least twisted, claims Tarloi is plotting to betray them.
She buys any of this.
Not for a second. She calls him delusionally. And right at that exact moment,
And Coup starts.
bang! A massive fiery blaze erupts from one of the castle towers. Kaufler's signal. The night sky lights up. You hear the sounds of fighting, men in armor, and then a crossbow bolt smashes through the window, thuds into the door right near them.
So the political plot and the personal obsession literally collide in the same room at the same second.
In that single explosive minute, De Vere, acting purely on instinct now, shoves the bed and a wardrobe against the door to barricade it. Crelys just grabs Gorian, holding him tight in the darkness.
And the night of chaos begins with a delusional stalker trapped inside with his obsession, acting like a guard, totally unaware he's already sabotaged his own side's careful plan.
That's the picture.
So when we look back, we've got these two completely different stories of that night. The 30th of Aumbris.
Drastically different.
There's Gorian's account. The truth, presumably. A terrified kid revealing a creepy, murderous stalker dressed as a woman who just happened to be there when the real attack kicked off.
Right, the pathetic, accidental reality.
And then there's De Vere's version.
Yeah, yes. De Vere's version. Pure fantasy. Total self-aggrandizement. He later claimed he, charmingly fought his way past guards, the ones he actually murdered in panic. And that Crelys was so overcome with emotion at seeing her rescue her that she supposedly whispered, "Promise me, my Black Knight, that you will never leave my side again, for without you, life is but a shadow."
Which seems unlikely, given she just called him delusional and told him to get out.
Extremely unlikely. It's pure fiction spun from his obsession.
So you have this convergence, De Vere's utterly chaotic, personally driven mess, the botched gold recovery, the murder of the Sir family, drowning the washerwoman, the ridiculous disguise.
All driven by delusion. Smashing right into this carefully planned, politically motivated, false flag operation run by Kaufler and Xerxes Mogan.
Exactly. The calculated versus the chaotic. And this brings up a really interesting point for you, the listener, to think about.
Okay.
De Vere's story, the sensational one, the lurid tale of the mad knight, the woman's disguise hiding under the bed, the fight in the queen's chambers, that's the story that tends to get remembered.
Oh.
By historians, by bards later on.
Right, it's more dramatic.
Much more. Kaufler's intricate plan, the strategic thinking, the actual political maneuvering that was happening simultaneously, that tends to fade into the background. It gets overshadowed, almost erased, by the sheer spectacle of De Vere's personal madness.
Well, the question is...
Yeah, the question is, when a complex political conspiracy like this gets tangled up with intense personal delusion, what ultimately shapes how we remember it? Is it the calculated strategy that drove the event? Or is it the unforgettable, almost unbelievable chaos caused by one obsessed individual that captures the historical imagination?
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are really getting into the weeds of one specific night. A single, unbelievably chaotic night that didn't just shift power in the Daconian realm, it basically turned everything upside down. We're focusing on the 30th of Aumbris, year 499 of the High King's calendar. Now, this was a coup, yeah, but it feels like it was built on, I don't know, calculated anarchy, just pure chaos, really, set off by this band of pretty delusional conspirators. So our mission for this deep dive is to trace the exact sequence of events. What were the moves, the motives that flipped this really fragile piece into a murderous takeover? And then, crucially, how did they immediately spin the story? How did they rewrite what happened, like, the very next morning?
Yeah, to really get how one night could do so much damage, you first have to look at the state Daconia was in. It was a tinderbox, basically. The guy technically in charge was Regent Tarler of Vermoil. And honestly, the swords, they don't paint a great picture. Middling birth, not much prestige, suddenly running the whole central realm.
Not exactly radiating authority, then.
Not at all. His army was only about 6,000 strong. And the key thing, they were tired, really weary, pulled from both sides of that awful civil war, the Antler Wars. Tarlor's actual power wasn't military might, it was, well, performative. His real leverage came down to three very important hostages he had tucked away in the Castle of Songs.
And these weren't just like bargaining chips, they were the living symbols of the factions tearing the kingdom apart.
Exactly that. You had Lady Creoles Dorsina, the former queen, right?
Oh.
Widow of King Raphael Leafcloak,
Yeah.
and her son, the young King Gorion, the heir. They stood for the Raphaelid or Raquel side. And then he also held Princess Tamais. She was the daughter of Roland Bloodhorn, who'd also been slain. She represented the other side, the Taufin or Rolandid faction.
Wow. So he's got the heirs of both dead kings locked up together, and his plan is to unite them. Wow.
Through marriage. That sounds incredibly risky. It was his last-ditch effort, really. A desperate play. He proposed betrothing Gorion and Tamais, join the bloodlines, force an end to the war through the next generation. And the amazing part, the nobles were actually considering it. They were just so worn down by the Antler Wars, the sources literally call it a tolerable compromise. Peace, even a fragile one, looked better than more fighting.
That kind of exhaustion, though, that willingness to accept anything, feels like exactly the weak point someone ruthless could exploit, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That's the core vulnerability of Tarlor's whole strategy. He was so focused on patching up the internal mess.
He missed the threat knocking at the door.
Or at least couldn't deal with it effectively. Because at the same time, you've got Moran II, Fiambere, descendant of an old, kicked-out royal line. He's sitting down south on the Thrium River border with 8,000 men, good soldiers, ready to march north on the capital, Chresmere. So Daconia is already teetering on the edge of another war, and Tarlor's grip is just not strong enough. It was ready to break.
And right there, waiting in the wings, is the architect of the night's chaos, Dever Blacksword. Dever Vezizagi. Looking at the sources, this guy isn't some grand strategist. It's obsession, pure and simple. He was a knight, right, but disgraced. Banished 7 years before by King Raphael III himself, and the reason. His, quote, obsessive pursuit of Queen Creoles.
That's the key detail, you're right. It tells you everything. He's not after the throne for power or land or gold. It's wounded pride. It's what the sources call delusional idealism.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't see Creoles as a person, more like a symbol of some kind of purity he felt he'd lost, and regaining her would prove his own, quote, imagined greatness. It's deeply unhealthy.
Right, a political actor driven by pathology. Okay, so where does someone like that even find the muscle for a coup based on delusion?
He goes to Nelmonth. And Nelmonth itself is almost like a mirror of Devia's own broken state. It's described as a forsaken land, basically ruins, abandoned by anyone respectable. It became a haven for what the Daconians termed Nimestri, which roughly translates to spiritually degenerate outcasts. Think criminals, exiles, think absolute dregs. The capital there, Avila, was just a cesspit of vice and lawlessness, by all accounts.
So he's literally recruiting from the underworld. Who were his main guys, his lieutenants?
Oh, they're quite the crew. You got Mogget described as a smuggler chieftain. Thola, a known forger, along with her sons.
Charming family business.
Yeah, one son was called Scristo, the pig strangler. Another, Brolan, apparently trafficked orphans. I mean, these are the people he's gathering. His inner circle, the real muscle, were Tughor, who was half troll, and this other figure, Cawflair. And Cawflair is the one who really makes things happen, the tactical uh, lunatic, maybe.
Cutler, right. He's the name that keeps popping up. Because he wasn't out in Nomonth, was he? He was already inside.
Exactly. Cawflair played a brilliant long game. He somehow infiltrated Chresmere, convinced people he was loyal to the Rolandid faction Bloodhorn's side, and actually got himself command of 80 crossbowmen. Stationed inside the Castle of Songs, the very place holding the Queen and the kids, he was the detonator waiting for the signal.
Okay, so what was the actual plan? How are they going to use Cawflair?
It was deeply cynical. The plan was to stage a false coup on the night of the 30th of Aumbris. It wouldn't look like Black Sword attack. No. It would look like the old factions, the Raphaelids and the Rolandids, had finally snapped and turned on each other again, destroying Tarloyer's fragile peace from within, plunging the city into chaos.
Creating the perfect power vacuum for De Vere to step into later.
Precisely. Destabilize it completely, then De Vere rides in as the strong man to restore order. That was the idea.
Okay, let's walk through the night itself, the 30th of Aumbris. How did they actually light the fuse?
The very first spark came from a character named Pelin, another one of these Mewmistr types, a brigand. And the sources specifically mention he had this lifelong, really unsettling fascination with fire. So Pelin targets a garrison known to be loyal to the Rolandid faction, sets a tower on fire. And as it's blazing, he starts screaming, "Long live the Leaf Cloak," which was the battle cry of the other side, the Raphaelids.
Instant confusion, just as planned. But targeted confusion, right? Designed to make each side blame the other.
Exactly. It worked perfectly. Commander Demerave Paramore, a Rolandid leader, sees the fire, hears the shout, and immediately thinks, aha, the Raphaelids are traitors. They're working for the Voltanes. Meanwhile, the Raphaelid guards, they see a Rolandid tower burning, hear their own slogan being used, and think, the Rolandids have betrayed us. They must be working for Moran II.
So that fragile, tolerable, compromised Torloyer build just evaporates in minutes.
Gone. Instantly. They turned on their supposed allies, their erstwhile allies, as one source puts it. And the tragic thing is, both sides thought they were acting defensively. Both thought they were fighting to protect Queen Crylis and King Gorion from the other faction's treachery. Loyalty weaponized against itself.
And into this mess steps Cawflair, the actual agent of chaos.
Right on cue. He storms into the castle's main hall with about 40 of his men. And his first move, not seize the armory, not secure the gates, no. He sets the massive great table, the symbol of Tarloyer's council, on fire.
Just sets the table on fire.
Yep. Apparently, he actually said something like, fires always make things more lively. It tells you, everything about his mindset. This wasn't military tactics. It was performance art with arson.
Okay, this is where it gets really wild, though, because the calculated chaos plan runs headlong into, well, reality, or rather another layer of plotting.
Exactly. Pure chance, or maybe just the inevitable result of so much plotting in one place. At that very moment, as Cawflair is admiring his burning table, a small group pops out from a side passage. And these aren't Cawflair's guys. These are actual Moranid spies. Real assassins sent by Moran II, the external enemy, with orders to kill Regent Tarloyer and grab the royal children. They've finally reached their target, only to walk into this inferno. So Cawflair, who's pretending to be a traitor starting an internal fight, comes face to face with the real external enemy agents. What on earth does he do? This is Cawflair's masterpiece of improvisation, or maybe madness. He'd apparently just grabbed a huge meat cleaver from the castle kitchens, maybe for effect, who knows? Yeah. He sees these confused Moranid agents, and instead of fighting them or running, he just bellows at the top of his lungs, "What are you speaking of? Let us feast! Long live King Moran II!" And while shouting this, he apparently takes the meat cleaver and just starts demolishing Lord Tarloyer's huge, ornate ceremonial chair, smashing it to bits.
Wait. He yells allegiance to the enemy king while destroying the regent's chair with a kitchen tool.
Yes. Total bonkers, terrifying energy.
Yeah.
And the real Moranid assassins, they see this absolute lunatic going berserk, seemingly in support of their guy, and they just assume he's part of their operation. Maybe a particularly enthusiastic local contact.
They mistook his performance art for allegiance.
They did. And Cawflair, sensing their confusion, just rolls with it. He effectively takes command of the actual Moranid hit squad on the spot.
Yeah.
He went from staging a fake internal coup to accidentally leading the real external assassination team in about 30 seconds. all thanks to a stolen cleaver and some furniture violence.
That's almost unbelievable. Strategic genius born from sheer, terrifying audacity. So now he's effectively running the chaos inside the castle.
And it descends rapidly. The castle became a slaughterhouse. Pelin, the firebug, was apparently having the time of his life, setting fires everywhere. Another of de Vere's men, Dunn, his contingent took control of the main stairs leading up to the queen's private chambers. They cut down a small group of loyal guardsmen from Prince Danther's retinue who tried to stop them. Cauthlair, though, he wasn't really directing things strategically anymore. He seemed to be just reveling in it.
And his loyalty, as you said, was never really to Moran, only to de Vere's plan and maybe to the violence itself.
He proved that pretty quickly. Later in the night, he actually turned on the very Moranid agents he'd sort of accidentally recruited, started asking them point blank if they were truly loyal to Moran II. Those who said yes, who genuinely professed allegiance. Cauthlair and his original crew just attacked and killed them, said they were swiftly attacked and slain. So much for allies. Discipline just completely broke down after that.
And this chaos wasn't just contained within the castle walls, right? It's spilled out.
Oh, definitely. It poured into the streets of Chresmere. Looting started almost right away. Seems the Amatiniari, the merchant class, were targeted first easy targets, probably seen as having money. And then, to make things even worse, the City Watch totally misunderstood what was happening. They thought Moran's main army must be attacking, so what did? They closed the city gates, trapping everyone inside.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and then they started firing arrows, Tarlini bows and crossbows from the walls. At who? At a squad of loyal knights who were actually trying to get back into the city to help defend it. Friendly fire on a massive scale.
Yep.
Total breakdown.
Just layers upon layers of failure and confusion, and then we get those really bizarre accounts, the ones that show reality itself was fraying.
Right. Amidst all the standard reports of fighting and fires, the sources include these almost mythological sightings. Multiple witnesses claimed they saw a lanky troll ripping the arms from a man down in the lower wards.
A troll. Seriously.
That's what the accounts claim. And the most specific one says this same troll, after the dismemberment, just casually picked up a full barrel of ale and wandered off into the chaos.
Okay. When you've got trolls involved in opportunistic beverage theft during a coup, you know things have gone completely off the rails.
It signifies the absolute collapse of order, doesn't it? Which brings us, unfortunately, to the final grim climax of the night inside the castle. The murder of the regent himself.
Tarloir, what happened to him?
Well, somehow, amidst all the fighting, a patrol of Raphaelid guards, ostensibly loyal to the queen, had managed to find Lord Tarloir, his wife Lady Nemrice, and the young Bridzistelis. They were trying to get them somewhere safe, but then they ran right into Cauthlair and his men, who were still sort of, rampaging but also pretending to be restoring order. Tarloir, completely unaware Cauthlair was the enemy, apparently asked him if the queen and King Gorion were safe.
And Cauthlair uses the cleaver again.
Instantly, no hesitation. Cauthlair apparently yelled out, "Look out, troll!" Maybe referencing the actual troll, maybe just creating a distraction. And in that split second, he swung the neat cleaver and just split Tarloir's head in two. There's a truly chilling detail in one account, supposedly from Cauthlair later boasting about it. Said it was like cutting through a watermelon. Just horrific. Tarloir's wife, Lady Nemrice Vithofen, and his children were also killed in the fighting that immediately followed. Butchery.
God. And the little girl, Princess Tomais.
She survived. But the impact. The sources describe her being found later just trembling. She was only 6 years old. She'd seen her stepmother, Tarloir's family, likely Tarloir's himself, slaughtered. The trauma was immediate and devastating. Her speech became stunted. She regressed completely, spent hours just suckling her thumb, clutching a doll. I mean, this new regime, its very foundation, was built on the psychological destruction of a child. It's brutal.
As utterly brutal as the night was, the coup's success really hinged on what happened next, on the story they told when the sun came up.
Absolutely critical, the narrative control. As dawn broke, a late summer rain began, finally starting to put out Pelin's beloved fires, which, by the way, one source notes, Pelin actually wept when the flames died down.
Of course he did.
And Cauthlair, the man who'd instigated so much of the violence, he steps forward as the hero. His first official statement apparently bellowed across the rain-soaked courtyard, "We have quelled the rebellion and saved the city. There are no more needs left." A complete bald-faced lie.
A lie that needed to become the official truth. Fast.
And they made it so. Any remaining pockets of fighting were stamped out by noon. De Vere Blacksword, the obsessive exile, was proclaimed the new regent of Daconia. And Cauthlair, the cleaver guy, he immediately gave himself a new title, Cauthlair of Clerica, Cauthlair of the Cleaver. And his reward. He was made Castellan of the Castle of Songs and commander of the young King Gorion's royal guard.
Cochlear of the Cleaver guarding the Child King, that sends a message.
Doesn't it just? Then came Daver's big moment, his address to the city. Queen Crelise, the object of his obsession, was led out onto the main balcony with him. He's described as swarthy, dressed in this striking black and red armor, speaking in the old, formal Octree dialect. Now, Chresmere had over 20,000 people living there. The sources are clear. Only about 600 dared to come out and listen. The fear must have been intense.
And this is where Daver lays out the official lie, the new history.
Right then and there. He draws his sword, described as cold dark, and points the finger squarely at Moran II for everything. Blames Moran and his, quote, host of men, half-trolls and full-trolls alike for every bit of the night's violence. He completely flips the script on Tarloir's death. Claims the regent was actually killed by Moran's forces, hailing him as a valiant hero who died defending the realm. He even gives a nod to the local militias, crediting them with somehow scaring off Moran's supposed horde across Lake Severe. Pure fiction.
He wasn't just lying about the night, he was trying to paint this grand picture of a new dawn, wasn't he?
Oh, completely. Declared the Antler Wars officially over, promised a new era of justice, said things like weeping children never again would suffer in Daconia, and he presented Queen Crelise as the restored, radiant sun of the kingdom. All very dramatic, very theatrical.
But built on nonsense. You mentioned historical errors.
Glaring ones. Even in that first speech, it shows how out of touch, or maybe just how arrogant he was. The sources point out two big ones immediately. First, he seemed to confuse Moran II, the actual current enemy, with Moran I, nicknamed Half-Troll, who was a usurper from way back, like the 230s H.K.C., over 2 centuries earlier.
Okay, that's sloppy. What was the other one?
He made this reference to a famous historical siege, praising Idver the Mason for defending the city of Chrysalis against Moran. But the historical enemy in that siege wasn't Moran at all. It was a different figure entirely, Tamar the Bloodhound. So, the new regent's very first address to his terrified subjects was riddled with basic historical mistakes. The regime wasn't just founded on violence and lies, but on demonstrable ignorance.
Right. So, let's pull this together. Why did this incredibly chaotic, frankly insane coup actually work? It wasn't military genius, clearly.
No. It seems to be this perfect storm, really. A combination of two things. First, the underlying strategic vulnerability. Tarloir's whole peace plan, the tolerable compromise, was so fragile it relied on the factions not fighting. Daver and Cochlear didn't need to defeat the factions, they just needed to trick them into destroying each other. The false flag attack did exactly that. It made Tarloir's own security forces tear themselves apart.
So strategic weakness meets what? Personal madness.
Pretty much. That calculated confusion was then just massively amplified by the sheer personal agendas driving the key players. Daver's obsessive delusional quest for Crelise as validation. And Cochlear's, well, his apparent love for theatrical violence. For just setting things on fire, literally and figuratively.
And people saw through it, didn't they? At least some did.
Oh, immediately. There's a fantastic quote from a scribe, Aumbris of Duvaldi. He witnessed the aftermath, heard Daver's error-filled speech, saw the bodies. And he wrote basically that this was just chaos and madness springing forth from naught. He concluded, the night has truly fallen upon Daconia's land. He knew it was senseless. He saw the lie for what it was.
So Daver Blacksword, a man whose only real claim to fame was being kicked out years before for stalking the queen. He takes absolute power after the single most destructive, chaotic night anyone could remember. Which leaves us, and you, with the same question that scribe Aumbris must have had. What happens next? What happens when a kingdom, already broken and bleeding, falls into the hands of an obsessive, delusional exile, armed with nothing but a dark sword and a very fresh, very bloody lie?
This very night, the villainous pretender Morintro did send forth his host of men, half-trolls and full-trolls alike, to seek the ruin of the Lady Crelise, fairest among the daughters of this land, to whom I pledge my heart, my undying devotion, and my loyalty unto my final breath. odds all alive, Moyul did stand valiantly against these vile invaders. Yet met a grievous fate as Moran's devilish brigands assaulted him, his lady and their offspring with savage fury. But by the grace of the All-Father, the stalwart defenders of this castle cut down the fiends and drove them back to the forsaken moors. Our gratitude extends to the valiant members of the Guild Malicious, whose courage did aid in saving this city from certain ruin and pillage, for Moran's horde awaited across Lake Varia. Yet your bravery did cast a shadow upon their craven hearts, and the heavens wept, quenching their thirst for blood! Your city Today, a new era dawns in the history of Daconia, for evil has been vanquished, and the forces of truth and justice have triumphed across the land. The era of the Antler Wars is ended, yet much work lies ahead, and we shall return to the days when justice reigns supreme, when gallant knights rode forth to uphold the law and defend the weak. Never again shall a child weep in Daconia. For fair Kralis, the radiant sun and life of this land, is restored as the rains cleanse the earth of blood. From the blood of martyrs shall bloom the fairest flowers, and with them I shall weave an everlasting wreath to crown our angelic queen, that she may rule with wisdom, peace, and love. All praise be to the All-Father and to Sage Alir, the protector of Chresmere, and to the brave people of this city who have taken part in the most glorious defense since Eidver the Mason held Chrysalis against Moran the half-troll. Now rejoice, for together we have saved the city, and order is restored! Return to your homes in peace!